close your eyes and imagine walking through the silent streets of ancient Rome. The markets are closed, the clattering of chariots has faded, and the mighty Colosseum rests under the silver glow of the moon. No noise, no battles, no politics, just whispers of history carried on the night breeze. In this bedtime story, we won't focus on wars or emperors. Instead, we'll step gently into the everyday lives of Romans, the bakers, the farmers, the storytellers, and the monuments that still breathe their memories. So settle in, let your mind drift, and allow the whispers of ancient Rome to guide you softly towards sleep. Close your eyes for a moment and let your imagination drift across time. You are standing in the heart of ancient Rome, not during the daytime when the city bursts with noise and chaos, but at night when the moon has risen high and the city takes on a completely different life. The air feels cooler, softer, and calmer. The frantic voices of merchants, the clattering hooves of horses, and the heated debates of senators have all faded into silence. Rome, the mighty empire, has slowed its heartbeat. It is no longer a city of power and politics. It is now a place of whispers, shadows, and stillness. The streets, once crowded with citizens rushing to the forum or soldiers marching in formation, are now almost empty. Smooth cobblestones glisten faintly under the light of torches mounted on tall stone walls. The faint glow reflects like tiny stars scattered across the pathways, guiding you forward as though Rome itself wants to show you its softer side. The warm scent of baked bread still lingers in the air from the day's market stalls, mingling with the earthy fragrance of olive trees that line the courtyards. A soft wind drifts in from the Tiber River, carrying with it the gentle hush of water flowing endlessly toward the sea. As you take a slow step forward, you notice how wide the Roman streets feel without the usual traffic of carts and chariots. During the day, these same streets would be alive with noise, the bargaining cries of shopkeepers, the playful shouts of children, the barking of dogs. But at night, every sound seems magnified. The distant hoot of an owl echoes between marble columns. A single drop of water falling from a fountain rings out like a tiny bell in the silence. Even your own footsteps, soft and careful, seem to join in the nighttime song of the city. Up ahead, the Colosseum rises, its arches glowing in silver moonlight. By day it is a place of crowds and commotion, but now it feels like a sleeping giant, resting after centuries of telling stories. The great amphitheater whispers its own history into the cool night air. It does not roar of battles or blood, but sighs gently of time itself, of countless lives who passed through its gates, who cheered, who laughed, who gasped. Tonight, it is not a monument of power, but of memory. It feels as though the stones themselves are dreaming. Further along, the Roman Forum lies in peaceful silence. Once, this was the busiest center of the empire, filled with senators, traders, and priests. Now, under the blanket of night, it feels like a sanctuary. The tall columns cast long, soft shadows that stretch across the ground like gentle arms. If you listen closely, you might almost hear faint echoes of the past, distant voices debating laws, laughter from friends sharing wine, or the footsteps of Julius Caesar himself strolling through the marble walkways. But the whispers are not sharp or loud. They are delicate, fading into the night like ripples on a quiet pond. Everywhere you look, Rome seems to hum with an ancient rhythm. The houses, built of brick and stone, are tucked away in narrow alleyways. Behind closed doors, families sleep peacefully, unaware that their lives will one day become stories told for thousands of years. A cat slips quietly across the street, its shadow stretching tall against the wall. Above, the stars sparkle in a clear sky, as though they too are watching over this eternal city. As you wander deeper, you feel Rome not as a place of conquest or grandeur, but as a living, breathing soul at rest. The silence is not empty. It is full of secrets, memories, and dreams. Each stone, each archway, each fountain seems to whisper, "I was here before you, and I will remain long after." But tonight, let me rest. Tonight, let me dream with you. You pass by a fountain where the water trickles softly into a marble basin. Its sound is steady and soothing, like the rhythm of a lullaby. You pause, leaning closer to watch the way moonlight dances across the surface. For a moment, you feel as if time itself has slowed, and you are floating in a dream. The water is ancient, flowing from aqueducts built centuries ago, yet it feels timeless, eternal, calming. Further down the street, you spot a small tavern, now closed. Wooden shutters are drawn, and the laughter of drinkers has long faded. But outside the door, a lone lantern flickers, casting a gentle glow onto the cobblestones. You imagine the stories told here earlier in the night, tales of gods, of gladiators, of ordinary people finding joy in simple moments. Now, the building rests, as though it too has grown tired. Finally, you stop and simply breathe in the atmosphere of Rome at night. The empire, often remembered for its strength and ambition, feels fragile, human, and peaceful in this moment. No battles, no emperors, no noise. Just quiet streets, ancient stones, and the soft hum of history breathing in and out, like a lullaby for those willing to listen. As you continue your slow walk, your eyes grow heavier, lulled by the rhythm of silence. The city, once fierce and proud, now feels like a gentle companion, leading you not into history, but into dreams. Rome whispers to you, not with the roar of an empire, but with the softness of eternity. As the night deepens over Rome, let us leave behind the great monuments and instead step quietly into the lives of the ordinary people who once called this city home. For while emperors and generals wrote their names into history, it was the daily rhythms of farmers, bakers, mothers, children, and shopkeepers that truly gave Rome its heartbeat. Their world, though distant from us in time, is strangely familiar. In their routines, in their struggles, in their laughter, we can find echoes of our own lives. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in front of a modest Roman home, tucked along a narrow street paved with smooth stone. By day, this home would be alive with activity, neighbors chatting at the doorway, children chasing each other in the courtyard, and shopkeepers calling out their goods nearby. But at night, everything is calmer. Through an open window, you glimpse the glow of a small clay oil lamp. Its light flickers against plastered walls, painting soft shadows across a simple wooden table where a family has just finished their evening meal. Bread, olives, cheese, and perhaps a small bowl of stewed vegetables made up their supper. The meal was not extravagant, but it was nourishing. A jug of watered wine sat nearby, shared in moderation. As the plates are cleared away, the family lingers for a moment. A father leans back, telling a quiet story to his children about the gods, or perhaps about his own youth. A mother hums gently as she tidies, her voice soft and calming. Slowly, the children are ushered to bed. They curl up beneath woolen blankets, lulled by the sounds of the city at night, the distant splash of water from a fountain, the faint call of a watchman patrolling the streets. Life in Rome was full of such small, ordinary rituals. Though the empire stretched across continents, touching lands far beyond imagination, the daily existence of most Romans was humble. They awoke with the rising sun, often before it, and began their day with work. Farmers tended their fields, bending beneath the morning light to gather olives, grapes, or grain. Craftsmen opened their shops, chiseling stone, shaping clay, or forging tools. Merchants set up stalls in the busy marketplace, arranging baskets of figs, honey, spices, and fish caught fresh from the sea. And when the day ended, they all returned to their homes, weary but grateful for food, family, and rest. Even the wealthy, who lived in grander houses decorated with painted frescoes and tiled mosaics, followed the same rhythm of life. Their tables may have been fuller, their clothes finer, but they too gathered with loved ones at the end of the day, seeking comfort in familiar company. For in Rome, as in every corner of the world, the truest joy was not found in riches, but in the warmth of human connection. As you walk through the quiet city, you might notice the small details of daily Roman life that linger even now. A clay jug left outside a door, waiting to be filled at the fountain the next morning. Laundry hanging in a courtyard, swaying gently in the night breeze. A loaf of bread cooling on a stone windowsill, baked earlier that day in one of the city's many communal ovens. These sights remind us that the Romans, though separated from us by centuries, were not so different. They too worked, rested, loved, and dreamed. The rhythm of daily life also included moments of leisure and companionship. Baths were not simply places to wash, but social centers where friends gathered to talk, laugh, and share news. Taverns offered warmth and conversation to weary travelers. And in quiet evenings, families might gather to listen to a storyteller recite myths of gods and heroes, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and countless others whose tales drifted into the night air like lullabies. Yet the most calming thought of all is that, just as we end our days by seeking rest, so too did the Romans. As torches dimmed and lamps flickered out, the city entered its nightly slumber. Behind each door, across hundreds of homes, families found comfort in sleep. Fathers laid down their burdens of work, mothers set aside their worries, and children drifted into dreams. All of Rome, great and small, powerful and humble, rested together beneath the same stars. In this way, the empire, vast and mighty, became something simple at night, a community of dreamers. The clamor of the marketplace, the shouting of politicians, the marching of soldiers, all of it faded, replaced by the steady rhythm of breathing, of sleeping, of living. As you picture this gentle world, let it remind you of your own routines. The meals you share, the stories you hear, the laughter that warms your evenings. History can feel distant, but when we listen to the quiet daily lives of the Romans, it feels close, comforting, relatable, almost familiar. They were people like us, doing their best to live, to love, and to find peace at the end of each day. And so, as you walk through these calm streets, surrounded by the sleeping city, you carry with you the soothing truth that across time, across centuries, human life has always held the same rhythm: work and rest, noise and silence, wakefulness and dreams. Rome, for all its power, was built upon these simple, calming routines. And tonight, as its people sleep, those routines whisper softly to us, guiding us gently toward our own rest. As you continue wandering through the quiet streets of Rome, your footsteps begin to lead you toward its most enduring symbols, the monuments that have watched over this city for thousands of years. By day, these great structures are alive with crowds, with noise, with movement. But at night, they rest in silence, like giants sleeping under the stars. The moonlight washes over marble and stone, turning them into silver silhouettes. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear them whisper, soft voices carried through the night air, telling stories not of glory or conquest, but of memory and time. The first to greet you is the Colosseum. Rising high into the sky, it appears at once powerful and weary, like an elder who has seen too much yet still stands tall. In daylight, it is easy to imagine the roar of crowds, the clash of weapons, and the spectacle of games. But tonight, there is no sound of battle, no cheering, no cries. The Colosseum sighs, as though relieved to be left alone. Its arches seem to hum with gentle echoes, not of violence, but of humanity, echoes of voices long gone, layered upon one another like waves upon the sea. As you gaze upon it, the monument feels less like a place of cruelty and more like a guardian of stories, holding them safely in its stones. From here, your steps take you toward the Roman Forum, once the very heart of the empire. By day, this was the stage of senators, merchants, and priests. The air was filled with speeches, debates, and bargains. But now, in the soft quiet of night, the Forum is transformed. The broken columns and arches, bathed in moonlight, resemble a vast outdoor temple. They whisper faintly of laws made and decisions that shaped history, but their voices are no longer urgent. Instead, they sound like gentle murmurs, fading in and out, as though carried by a breeze. You pause, feeling the weight of time pressing lightly upon you, not heavy or overwhelming, but comforting like a blanket. As you wander between the ruins, you notice how peaceful they are. Nature, too, has softened them. Vines climb across old stones, and patches of grass grow where senators once walked in sandals. The monuments seem content with this balance, half human creation, half gift of time. They do not resist the years that have worn them down. Instead, they embrace them, whispering acceptance, patience, and peace. Further along, the Pantheon waits. Its massive dome curves upward like the night sky itself, and at its center is the oculus, a perfect circle open to the heavens. By day, sunlight pours through it like a golden spotlight, but at night, it frames the stars above, connecting earth to sky, human to divine. The Pantheon whispers differently than the Colosseum or the Forum. Its voice is calm, steady, almost eternal. It reminds you of the gods once worshipped here, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, but it does not cry out their names. Instead, it hums with quiet dignity, as though saying, "Even when gods fade, even when empires fall, beauty endures." You step inside the Pantheon, where shadows stretch across the marble floor. The air feels cool and still, like a sacred breath held for centuries. The columns rise around you, tall and unshaken, whispering strength and balance. You close your eyes and imagine Romans entering this same place thousands of years ago, marveling at the same dome, awed by the same stars above. In this moment, you are connected not just to history, but to the timeless wonder of being human. Leaving the Pantheon behind, you wander toward other monuments that slumber quietly in the night. The aqueducts, those great arches that once carried water into the city, now stand like gentle skeletons stretching into the dark. They whisper of service, of the simple but powerful gift of fresh water that sustained millions. Their voices are humble, not proud. They do not boast of conquest or glory. Instead, they remind you that the greatest legacies are often built from kindness and care. Even the roads, the famous Roman roads that stretched across the empire, seem to whisper beneath your feet. Smooth stones worn by countless travelers hum softly of journeys taken, of families reunited, of soldiers marching home, of merchants carrying goods from faraway lands. The roads do not tell one story. They tell millions, each step a note in the eternal song of human life. As the night deepens, you realize that every stone in Rome has a voice. Not loud, not demanding, but gentle. The monuments do not call for your attention. They simply exist, patient and eternal, speaking only to those who slowed down enough to listen. And when you do listen, you find their whispers are not of power or pride, but of stillness, endurance, and peace. Rome's monuments, once built to impress, now soothe. They remind you that time is long, that empires rise and fall, but silence and rest always return. Tonight, under the watchful stars, they are not symbols of conquest, but companions in calmness. They are the lullabies of stone, cradling the city and you into a deeper sense of rest. Beyond the towering monuments and echoes of emperors, there was another Rome, a quieter, softer Rome made up of ordinary people whose gentle lives gave the city its true heartbeat. While the history books often dwell on battles, politics, and power, it is here, in the daily lives of bakers, farmers, teachers, and children, that we discover the soul of the eternal city. And tonight, as the empire sleeps, it is their voices, their routines, and their dreams that drift through the night air. Imagine, for a moment, the small Roman bakery just after dusk. The ovens have cooled, the loaves have been sold, and the day's work is complete. But earlier, before the sun even rose, the bakers had already been awake, kneading dough with steady hands in the soft glow of lamplight. They worked in rhythm, folding and shaping the bread that would feed their neighbors. Their craft was simple, yet vital. Tonight, they rest, their hands still dusted faintly with flour, their dreams filled with the same warmth they gave to others through their bread. Nearby, a farmer sleeps soundly after a long day tending the land. His fields of grapes and olives stretch outside the city walls, and though he owns little, his labor keeps the city alive. At dawn, he had risen with the birds, carrying baskets heavy with fruit to the marketplace. He worked with patience, guided not by clocks or schedules, but by the eternal rhythm of the seasons. As he sleeps, the night air carries the earthy scent of soil and the soft rustling of leaves. His life is humble, but it is steady, and in that steadiness lies a quiet kind of peace. In the city itself, the bathhouses, so lively during the day, now stand empty, their pools calm and reflective. By daylight, these spaces were not only for cleansing but for connection. Here, citizens gathered to talk, to share news, and to relax together. The baths were filled with laughter, conversation, and the comfort of human companionship. Tonight, the steam has vanished, and the marble floors shine faintly beneath the moon. But the memory of those shared moments lingers, like a soft echo of community. Elsewhere, in the shade of olive trees, teachers once gathered with their pupils. By day, they recited lessons on language, philosophy, and history. Children scribbled their letters onto wax tablets, while older students debated ideas of virtue, justice, and truth. Their voices carried across the courtyards like birdsong. Now, at night, the schoolyards are silent. The wooden benches and dusty tablets rest. Yet, if you close your eyes, you can almost hear the faint murmur of young voices learning, curious, and eager. Knowledge, too, whispers through the city, never truly asleep. And then there were the storytellers. In taverns, in homes, and even along the streets, tales of gods and heroes were woven into the fabric of Roman life. People spoke of Jupiter, mighty and watchful, Venus, radiant with beauty, and Mars, fierce with strength. These stories gave comfort, teaching lessons, and igniting imagination. Tonight, those tales are not shouted but whispered. They drift softly like dreams across the rooftops, reminding us that stories have always been a way for humanity to rest, to connect, and to believe. Among all these gentle lives, there were also moments of simple joy. Families shared meals together, savoring bread, fruit, and wine. Neighbors greeted one another in narrow streets, offering a kind word or a smile. Children played with small clay toys, laughing as their voices echoed between the stone walls. These little joys, though ordinary, were the treasures of Roman life. They stitched the empire together in ways no emperor's decree ever could. Now, as the city sleeps, you can almost feel the comfort that filled these homes and hearts. Fathers laid down their tools, mothers closed their weary eyes, and children curl into dreams. Each life, though small in the shadow of the empire, was precious. Each heart beat softly, contributing to the great rhythm of Rome. If you listen carefully, you can hear their whispers, not the commands of generals or the speeches of senators, but the quiet voices of everyday people. A baker saying good night to his wife, a farmer murmuring a prayer for rain, a child whispering a secret before falling asleep. These voices do not demand attention, yet they linger gently, reminding us that history is not only made by rulers, but by the countless ordinary souls who lived, loved, and rested under the same stars. And perhaps that is the greatest truth of all, that beyond the monuments, beyond the power, Rome was a city of people, human, fragile, hopeful, just like us. Their gentle lives continue to echo through time, not as noise, but as soft, soothing whispers that invite us to rest. As the night stretches on, the city of Rome grows ever quieter, as if each stone and shadow exhales together in a long, gentle sigh. The markets are dark, the fires in the hearths have faded to glowing embers, and even the restless dogs that once barked at passers-by have curled into silence. All that remains is the soft murmur of the Tiber River, endlessly flowing, its waters carrying with them centuries of memory. Rome is often called the Eternal City, and tonight you begin to understand why. Not because of its conquests or its emperors, not because of its marble monuments or its sprawling empire, but because of its stillness. Beneath the noise of history, beneath the weight of centuries, there is a steady rhythm, a pulse that continues, gentle and constant, like a lullaby stretching across time. Rome does not merely survive in books or ruins. It endures in the quiet truth that life, in all its simplicity, has always found a way to carry on here. Picture yourself resting on a hill that overlooks the city. From this vantage point, Rome lies spread out before you, bathed in silver moonlight. The domes and rooftops, the columns and arches, all gleam softly as though wrapped in a blanket of stars. The Colosseum rests like a tired guardian. The Pantheon opens its oculus to the heavens, and the Forum stretches below in peaceful ruin. It is not a scene of power or ambition. It is a portrait of calm. The city, once roaring with energy, now hums softly in the background of the night, offering not spectacle, but serenity. The Tiber winds through the city like a thread of silver, binding together past and present. Its waters whisper of merchants sailing from far-off lands, of fishermen casting their nets, of lovers strolling along its banks. But tonight, the river speaks more softly, almost as though it too is ready for sleep. Its steady flow becomes a lullaby, carrying you deeper into the calm embrace of the eternal city. As you breathe slowly, you realize that Rome's eternity is not built only from stone or law. It is built from the countless lives that have passed through it. Farmers, bakers, poets, soldiers, mothers, children, all of them lived their days, dreamed their dreams, and eventually rested. Their voices are no longer loud in the world, but they remain, layered softly upon one another, like the faint harmonies of a choir. Together, they sing a song of peace, one that drifts through time and now reaches your ears. The stars above seem to lean closer, peering through the clear night sky as though to bless the city. These same stars once shone on Caesar and Cicero, on nameless children chasing fireflies, on lovers whispering in gardens, and on workers trudging home after long days. Tonight, they shine on you as well, bridging the gap between centuries. You feel connected to something vast, something eternal, yet it is not overwhelming. Instead, it is comforting, reminding you that you too are a part of this endless rhythm of life and rest. In this quiet moment, Rome ceases to be a place of conquest and becomes instead a companion. It does not demand your attention with noise or grandeur. It simply invites you to share in its rest. The city whispers, "I have seen much, I have carried much, and still I endure." You, too, can rest. You, too, can endure. As you let those whispers settle, you feel the heaviness of your own eyes, the weight of your body sinking deeper into stillness. The eternal city seems to cradle you, its ancient walls becoming a cocoon of calm. The flow of the Tiber, the sigh of the monuments, the silence of the streets, all of it blends into one soft lullaby. Rome, eternal not because of its empire, but because of its quiet persistence, now becomes a guide. It reminds you that beyond noise, beyond chaos, there is always stillness waiting to be found. And tonight, that stillness belongs to you. So close your eyes fully now. Imagine the stars above the Pantheon shining gently, the Colosseum breathing softly in its slumber, the Forum wrapped in shadows of peace. Let the whispers of ancient Rome carry you further, past history, past memory, into dreams. For the city that never truly dies is not here to wake you. It is here to help you rest. And as you drift, Rome remains. Eternal, quiet, patient, waiting, always, to whisper again tomorrow night. And as you drift deeper into rest, remember that Rome's whispers will always be here, waiting to guide you back into calm. If this story helped you relax, give it a gentle like. And if you'd like more calming journeys through history, don't forget to subscribe and join me again next time. Until then, sleep well, dream peacefully, and good night.